In the future, human boxers are replaced by robots, and a former fighter teams up with his son to compete against an outdated machine. Stay tuned as there will be spoilers ahead. Grab your snack, get comfortable, and let's dive into this incredible journey with him. Popcorn Session Channel presents Real Steel. The movie begins with Charlie Kenton, a former boxer, driving his truck to the city of San Leandro, where a festival is taking place. In the morning, he wakes up falling out of bed due to a call on his phone. Upon answering, Bill demands a debt of $30,000 from him. While putting on his shoes, Charlie pretends that the call is breaking up and hangs up. Three little girls approach Charlie outside, questioning him if the robot in the back is an ambush. Charlie confirms it, takes control of the robot, and makes it walk over to the girls. One of them tries to take a photo, but Charlie charges her $5. The girls obviously refuse and leave him talking to himself. Next, Charlie prepares for the robot's fight with a bull. He is welcomed by Rick's boxer who defeated Charlie in the old days. Charlie complains that the fight should be with a 500-kilogram animal, but what they have there is bigger. Ricky doesn't care about Charlie and increases the prize money to $20,000 but warns that if the former colleague doesn't pay, he will give him a beating he will never forget. The first to enter the rodeo arena is Ambush, which puts on a show, and the crowd goes wild. Next, they release the violent bull, and the fight begins immediately. While controlling Ambush, Charlie takes advantage by knocking the bull down twice, but he gets distracted showing off to two women in the stands, and the bull delivers a violent horn strike to the machine, ripping off one of its legs. Charlie yells for Rick to end the match, but he refuses. Charlie then tries to turn the situation around by getting Ambush back on its feet, but it gets battered by the bull until it's completely destroyed. With the confrontation over, Charlie turns around, sees the same girls from before carrying the robot's leg, and asks for it back, but they charge him $5. Then, Charlie hurries to load the remains of Ambush onto the truck, attempting to flee the city. However, before getting into the vehicle, two men approach him. Charlie hits one of them in the face, and the other informs him that they didn't come to collect anything but to inform him of the death of Caroline, his ex-girlfriend with whom he had a son named Max. Charlie is then summoned to a hearing regarding custody of the boy. During the session, Deborah, the boy's aunt, and Marvin, her husband, request guardianship of the child, claiming they are wealthy and can ensure his future. The judge informs them that by law, Max should stay with his father, who arrives late at the session, willing to relinquish custody to anyone. However, Charlie notices the expensive jewelry of the couple, leaves the room claiming he needs to speak with his lawyer, and waits for Marvin to approach. He then proposes to give full custody of the boy on the condition that they pay him $100,000. Marvin agrees, but Charlie has to keep the boy for 3 months while the couple spends the summer in Italy. Without alternatives, Charlie agrees with Marvin, signs the documentation, and leaves the court on the phone, arranging the purchase of the robot Noisy for $45,000. He instructs them to take the machine to Talit's gym and drives to the location. After entering the gym, Bailey, the current owner, approaches Charlie, demanding the overdue rent. Later, Marvin enters the gym, and Charlie accompanies him to the street. Marvin hands over an envelope with $50,000, assuring Charlie that he would give him the other half when he returned. Marvin then approaches the car, opens the door, and Max steps out. The two stare at each other for a moment, and the boy reveals his frustration at having to stay with Charlie. At that moment, Bailey finds them on the street, greets the boy, and Charlie hands her the envelope to finalize the robot payment. After she leaves, Max asks how much it was sold for, and Charlie says $50,000. The boy requests half of it, but Charlie ignores him, returns to the gym, and opens Noisy Boy's box. Max enters afterward, mentioning that the robot was famous for competing in the league and approaches it admirably. However, he falls back in fear when his father starts moving it. Then, Charlie activates the voice recognition and orders the robot to move using the microphone, but it doesn't obey. Charlie gets frustrated because the robot came with a defect, but when Max speaks Japanese into the microphone, Noisy Boy follows the instructions. Soon, Bailey manually adjusts the controls, allowing the robot to understand commands in other languages and unlocking some predefined attack combinations. Excited, Charlie tells Max to stay with Bailey and hurries towards the car to make money with Noisy Boy. However, before he can leave, Max takes the truck keys and threatens to throw them into the sewer if Charlie doesn't take him along. Charlie finds himself forced to agree, and Max enters the trailer. Charlie drives to the Crash Palace, the underworld of robot fights. Upon entering, the duo approaches Finn, the organizer of the matches. He asks if Charlie is really going to put that robot to fight there, and Charlie confirms. Finn recommends taking a preliminary fight, as it would guarantee $1,000 per round, but Charlie requests the main event of $50,000 against the powerful robot Midas. Max advises his father to start with an easier fight, but Charlie ignores him and accepts the challenge. In the ring, Finn announces the entry of Midas and then Noisy Boy. Charlie smiles confidently, and initially, he lands some powerful blows on Midas. However, after the machine begins its counterattack, pushing Noisy Boy to the other side of the ring, Charlie loses complete control of the fight. Midas then hits the lower limbs of the opponent, removes its arm, and finishes it with a punch that tears off Noisy Boy's head. Afterwards, Charlie collects the remains of the robot, approaches the boy, and gives him a burger to eat, but Max says he doesn't eat that. Charlie takes the sandwich back and hands Max a drink. Max lectures his father for being reckless, but Charlie cuts the conversation short, telling the kid to get into the truck. After leaving the Crash Palace, Charlie drives with his son to a junkyard to collect some parts. They get out of the truck, Charlie breaks into the entrance, and they move cautiously to avoid being caught by the lights of the towers. Soon, a storm begins, and while searching for useful items, Max reaches the edge of a cliff. Just as Charlie warns him to be careful, Max falls in a landslide. His father runs desperately to help him, and the boy gets stuck halfway on the arm of a robot. Charlie approaches the boy, takes his hands, and pulls him. The boy falls, embracing his father. Upon separating, Max asks for help to remove the robot that saved him, but Charlie refuses to waste time on it and says that if he wants to take it, he has to do it himself. Charlie returns to collect more parts while Max stays to unearth the machine. When it's dawn, Charlie waits for the boy in the truck. Max approaches, all dirty, with the robot in a cart, and punches his father for not helping him. After leaving the Crash Palace, Charlie drives with his son to a junkyard to collect some parts. They get out of the truck, Charlie breaks into the entrance, and they move cautiously to avoid being caught by the lights of the towers. Soon, a storm begins, and while searching for useful items, Max reaches the edge of a cliff. Just as Charlie warns him to be careful, Max falls in a landslide. His father runs desperately to help him, and the boy gets stuck halfway on the arm of a robot. Charlie approaches the boy, takes his hands, and pulls him. The boy falls, embracing his father. Upon separating, Max asks for help to remove the robot that saved him, but Charlie refuses to waste time on it and says that if he wants to take it, he has to do it himself. Charlie returns to collect more parts while Max stays to unearth the machine. When it's dawn, Charlie waits for the boy in the truck. Max approaches, all dirty, with the robot in a cart, and punches his father for not helping him. Afterwards, the two arrive at the arena, and Max is obviously ecstatic. Charlie instructs the boy to wait for him while he goes in search of Finn. A commotion of journalists quickly forms. Meanwhile, Charlie attempts to convince Finn to help him, but Finn refuses due to the colleague's not-so-good reputation. He advises Charlie to take it to the zoo to make some money the next day. Despite being reluctant, Charlie realizes he has no other option. They then leave the arena, and Charlie informs the boy that his much-desired fight would take place the next day and hands him a burrito. In the next scene, we witness their arrival at the zoo. Charlie, Max, and Adam head to the betting area, where they are greeted by Kingpin. He informs them that they could pit their robot against Metro for the price of $100 per round. Charlie tries to accept, but Max insults the guy until they close a deal of $1,000 if Adam stays on its feet for 1 minute. They enter the arena, and Charlie asks the boy if he wants him to move the robot, but Max takes the control out of his hand. The fight begins, and due to lack of experience, Max makes some mistakes, giving Metro the advantage to strike him. However, while Charlie guides the boy, Adam manages to dodge some of the opponent's blows. Nevertheless, Metro still lands a series of punches on Adam, causing it to fall to the ground. With only a few seconds left in the round, the robot manages to get up, securing the duo the $1,000. Kingpin then approaches the boy and doubles the bet if he can withstand another round. Confident in his robot, Max accepts the challenge, even though his father says it's not a good idea. As soon as the fight begins, Max avoids the mistakes he made earlier and quickly strikes Metro with the jumping move Charlie taught him earlier. This causes a system failure in Metro, and it starts hitting itself until it catches fire, securing the first victory for the underestimated robot of the boy. Charlie decides to spend the night in a hotel while Max works to improve Adam's skills in the truck. During the morning, the boy is once again recording movements on the robot. Max starts moving his head to the rhythm of a song, notices that the robot is following his movements, and they start dancing. Charlie approaches, Max shows his father that he installed the voice recognition of Noisy Boy on Adam, and he is impressed. Next, Charlie encourages his son to dance with the robot in the fighting arena, and Max agrees to do it if Charlie teaches Adam boxing moves. Charlie starts training with the robot in the late afternoon, and Max enters the ring dancing in the next fight. Soon, Adam is being controlled by Charlie and wins several competitions using boxing moves. This attracts media attention because it's only AG2, and the duo receives an invitation for an official battle in the WRB League at the Detroit Arena. On the day of the fight, Max is making some repairs on the robot. They are then invited to Zeus's suite. Upon arrival, they are greeted by Farah Lemkova, who offers $200,000 for Adam. Charlie is impressed by the amount, but Max refuses to sell his robot. Farah advises the boy to accept the offer because the robot they were going to fight against is one of the most violent in the league. However, Max doesn't change his mind and leaves. Charlie follows the boy and asks him to accept the offer, but Max informs him that they only want Adam because they know it's a different robot, capable of learning how to fight. The competition is soon announced. The first to be called into the arena is Twin Cities, a powerful two-headed robot. After that, Adam enters with Max, who performs a dance routine until they reach the ring. Charlie approaches, puts the voice controller on his face, and the fight begins. However, it doesn't take long for Adam to be cornered on the mat and suffer a series of damages. Max asks his father to find a solution. Charlie looks closely at Adam being beaten and realizes that the opponent's weak point is the right shoulder. He instructs Adam to crouch, causing it to leave the mat and start dodging punches. Afterward, Adam launches a violent counterattack using a sequence of punches. This leaves the controllers of Twin Cities in desperation, and Adam finishes it with a right hook. While everyone celebrates the victory, Max takes the judge's microphone, thanks everyone for their attention, insults Farah Lemkova, and challenges Zeus to a battle in front of everyone. Charlie gets onto the ring and takes the boy away before he says anything foolish, but Zeus's creators are not pleased with Max's audacity, while the crowd chants Adam's name. Next, Charlie receives the money for the victory and leaves the arena with his son, but they are surprised by Ricky and two henchmen in the parking lot. Charlie tries to settle things amicably, but Ricky refuses to leave peacefully. Charlie then punches one of them and tries to run with the boy, but the men catch up with them and beat Charlie. Afterward, Ricky orders them to take all their money and leaves, while Max approaches his father, who is writhing on the ground. No dia seguinte, Deborah rushes to hug her nephew, who is angry with Charlie for calling them. The boy asks his father to talk to his aunt and uncle because he wants to continue in the competitions, but Charlie doesn't think it's a good idea, and Max leaves, with Deborah following him. Marvin then hands the remaining $50,000 to Charlie, but he refuses the amount. Charlie returns to the truck, and while Max packs his things, Charlie says that he deserved a better life than he could give him. The boy leaves without saying anything, but before reaching his aunt and uncle's car, he tells his father that he would like to see him fight for himself. Later, Charlie makes a trip back to Talat's gym, arriving at night and lying down next to Bailey in bed. She smiles at his return. At dawn, they talk about the boy, and Bailey convinces him that he is capable of taking care of the child. They then kiss. Charlie informs her that he is leaving, and a tear falls from her face. He wipes her tear and leaves, while Bailey asks him to find the son. Charlie then goes to Marvin's mansion and is greeted by Max and Deborah. Charlie apologizes for everything he did to the boy, adds that he regrets the death of his mother, but reveals that this is not the only reason for the visit because he would like to take him to another league fight, this time against Zeus. The boy is delighted. Charlie shows him Adam on the street near some children, and Deborah allows him to go to the tournament for one night. Next, we are taken to the Bing Arena in New York, where the showdown will take place. While the commentators explain that the creators of Zeus themselves made an exception for the world champion to face the newcomer, Tak Mashido and Farah Lemkova enter the arena tensely, while Max and his father are seen smiling. Outside, Finn promotes bets on the robot's showdown, and Ricky decides to bet $100,000 that Adam wouldn't make it past the second round. Finn closes the challenge but signals one of his men to follow him around the arena. Back at the show, Charlie smiles upon seeing Bailey in the audience. Next, Zeus approaches the ring and enters with an immense leap, thrilling the audience with the performance. Charlie and Max leave the ring. The judge announces the competitors, and the initial round begins, but Zeus's first move already puts Adam on the ground. The robot then rises before the count ends, but Zeus quickly knocks him down again in less than 10 seconds of combat. Again, Adam gathers strength to stand, and Zeus continues to pummel the opponent until Adam lands a right hook on the champion, leaving everyone impressed. Soon after, Adam goes on the counterattack and, despite difficulties, withstands the opponent's blows until the end of the round. Charlie and Max enter the ring to repair some damage to Adam's body, while Rick tries to escape the arena to avoid paying the bet, but Finn and his men surround him. The remaining rounds are fiercely contested until, in the fourth, Zeus damages Adam's voice recognition, causing him to stop responding to Charlie's commands in the ring. With the round's end, Charlie tells the boy that they couldn't continue without controlling the robot, and Max suggests that his father could do it using the shadow mode, as Adam would mirror all movements. Charlie tries to deny the idea, but Max makes a puppy dog face and convinces him to fight. Charlie goes to the robot and makes him repeat all his actions while looking at his face. Next, the final round begins, with Adam copying all of Charlie's actions around the ring. Charlie provokes Zeus by calling him to fight. The champion then advances with all his strength towards Adam, while Charlie keeps him on the defensive. Only after Zeus slows down due to lack of energy does Adam attack him without the possibility of defending himself. Desperate not to be defeated, Tak Mashido takes manual control of Zeus and strikes Adam, but still copying Charlie's movements, the robot continues to press the opponent. Max and Bailey watch Charlie completely engaged in the fight and become emotional. Adam continues to pummel Zeus, who falls to the ground for the first time. With difficulty, Zeus gets up, and Adam hits him with another sequence of punches, but before finishing him, the final round ends. Amidst the commotion, the judge enters the ring and announces that Zeus has been declared the winner of the match, and the audience boos Faralenkova's speech about Zeus remaining an undefeated champion. Later, the commentator calls Max and asks what he thought of Adam being the people's champion. The boy looks at his robot on the screen and says that it was already enough. People then applaud them. Max goes to his father and hugs him. Later, Charlie takes Adam to the center of the ring, and the film ends with the three celebrating the great victory.